Officers, welcome to this meeting of Inverclyde Council. Before we start, I have an opening statement to read. Welcome to this meeting of Inverclyde Council. This meeting has been held remotely and also in person and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and the Data Protection Act 2018. We broadcast and record council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. The data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with the council's published policies, available through the council's website. Members of the council are reminded that they should follow the council's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who may also have received invites to the meeting. I would add to that, members, for the benefit of people who are watching in online today, if you speak, please use your microphones and speak as clearly and succinctly as possible for the benefit of those people. Item 1 on the agenda is the apologies and declarations of interest.
We have apologies from Councillor Law and Councillor Nelson. Provost will now move to a roll call before proceeding to the declarations of interest. Can the following members please indicate if they're present at the meeting either in person or remotely? Councillor Armstrong.
Present in person.
Councillor Brennan.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Brooks.
In chamber.
Councillor Cassidy.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Property.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Crowther.
Present remotely.
Councillor Curley.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Daisley.
Present remotely.
Councillor Jackson.
In the chamber.
Councillor McCabe.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor McCluskey.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor McCormick.
Present remotely.
Councillor Maguire.
Present in the chamber.
Provost Mackenzie.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor McVeigh.
Present remotely.
Councillor Moran.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Quinn.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Reynolds.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Wilson.
Present in the chamber.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Councillor McVeigh.
Thank you, Provost. Provost, can I, in the interest of transparency, can I intimate a connection with agenda item number 6? I own 2 further properties in Inverclyde, and they are on my register of interest and on the council website. I have sought advice, and I'm satisfied that I don't need to declare an interest as such and leave the chamber. But I would ask that the connection be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McVeigh. Are there any other declarations of interest?
Councillor.
Councillor Powell, please.
I'd like to make again a similar declaration with respect to agenda item number 6. I am joint owner of a property which is rented in Inverclyde, and therefore I'm on the register as a private landlord. I have applied the objective test. I don't think it's precludes me from taking part in that element. I want to record the connection.
Thank you, Councillor Curley. Is there anybody else? Thank you.
In a similar vein, I think I might be on the register. But since my son that stays in the house, I'm not too sure. So I've applied subsequent whatever, and I don't think there's any danger of it. But just to be on the safe side.
Thank you, Councillor. As long as you're getting this consent right, that's all we're concerned about.
That's what it is, you're up there,
Item number 2. Item number 2 in the agenda, the minutes of the meetings of the Inverclyde Council committees, subcommittees, panels and votes. For the Inverclyde Council meeting on the 16th of February, pages 49 to 55, I would move that as a true and proper minutes. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you, members. For the Audit Committee, dated the 21st of February,
Promise.
pages 56 to 57. Councillor Wilson, please.
I move this as a true minute.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. For the General Purposes Board, the special meeting held on the 22nd of February, page 58. Councillor Cully,
I move this as a true record, promise.
is there any otherwise moved? Thank you. For the Social Work and Social Care Scrutiny Panel of the 23rd of February, pages 59 to 62. Councillor Jackson, please.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Is there anybody otherwise moved? Thank you. Councillor Fun? Oh, you're way ahead of me. For the Planning Board, on the 1st of March, 63 to 76. Councillor Curley.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you. Is there anybody otherwise moved? Thank you. The Local Review Body on the 1st of March, pages 77 to 79. Councillor McVeigh, please.
Move this to true record, promised.
Thank you. Is there anybody otherwise moved? Thank you. The Inverclyde Council special meeting of the 2nd of March, pages 80 to 86. I would move that that's a true and proper minute. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. And the Education and Communities Committee on the 7th of March, pages 87 to 91. Councillor Fogarty, please.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The General Purposes Board held on the 8th of March, page 92. Councillor Moran, please.
I approve the true record.
Thank you, Councillor Moran. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The Employment and Regeneration Committee held on the 9th of March, pages 93 to 99. Councillor McCormick, please.
I move this as a true record, promised.
Thank you, Councillor McCormick. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The Petitions Committee held on the 16th of March, pages 100 to 101. Councillor Curley, please.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you, Councillor Curley. Is there anybody otherwise minded? The Policy and Resources Committee on the 21st of March, pages 102 to 106. Councillor McCabe, please.
Yeah, I move the minutes as a true record, promise.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The Local Police and Fire Scrutiny Panel held on the 23rd of March, pages 107 to 109. Councillor Wilson.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The Education Communities Committee special meeting held on the 27th of March, pages 110 to 111. Councillor Fogarty.
I move this as a true record, promise.
Thank you, Councillor Fogarty. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The General Purposes Board held on the 12th of April, page 112. Councillor Moran, please.
Well, I move it to record.
Thank you. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. The Environment and Regeneration Committee special meeting held on the 17th of April, page 113, 114. Councillor McCormick, please.
I move this as a true record, promised.
Thank you, Councillor McCormick. Is there anybody otherwise minded? Thank you. Within these approvals, there was pieces relating to private business. Is any concerns about these at this time? If so, we will deal with them in private session at the end. Does anybody have any concerns? Thank you. That's fine. We can do that at the end. Item number 3 in the agenda: the Council Plan and Partnership Plan from 2023. And I would ask Ms. Ray if she would like to lead on that.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I would like to present the Council Plan for 2023 to 28 for approval and invite the endorsement of the Alliance Partnership Plan as well. As members will be aware, there has been significant developmental work in relation to these plans, including a public consultation, which is detailed in Appendix 1, as well as a strategic needs assessment, which is available via the link in the report. We have taken this public contribution along with our understanding of the challenges and opportunities in Inverclyde and devised outcomes we would like to achieve across the themes of people, place and performance. We are developing the strategic delivery plan, and a draft of this is available at Appendix 3. this will be further developed. For example, we'll also include our contribution to the promise within this. Alongside this, we have the new committee delivery and improvement plans, which are the level below the strategic delivery plan, and they will be going to the May round of committees. Happy to take any questions on the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Is there any questions from Councillor Collins?
Thank you. Just a direct question to Appendix 3 and the draft strategic delivery plan and a note comments that this will be developed. Just what I was looking at was noticing that the net zero strategy and the travel strategy wasn't on here. I'm just wondering if there are any others that would be followed that you maybe incorporate. Because looking at these particular strategies, I think they would be a good fit for our natural environment is protected and obviously a sustainable community, etc. as well. So I just wanted to comment as part of that development of the plans, these strategies could have done with that.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Thank you very much. Yes, I've noted that as you commented, it is obviously a draft under development. We are doing a bit of work in terms of what sits at this level and what sits at the committee delivery improvement plan level, and that's why there's been a bit of delay in terms of finalising this council delivery plan. But certainly we'll take those comments on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions, members? Can we agree the recommendations, please? On paper. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, page 57. The appointment of the Chair of Social Work and Social Care Scrutiny Panel. Mr. Stratton, please.
Thank you, Boris. Members, this purpose of report looking to for the Council to appoint a chair for the Social Work Social Care Scrutiny Panel, confirmed the special responsibility allowance allocated to that position and 2 associated appointments. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any nominations for this this position? Councillor McKay.
Yes, thank you, Provost. Before I nominate, can I first of all thank my colleague Councillor Jackson for the work we've done over the last 11 months in this position. I think he's made a very effective contribution. Can I also nominate my colleague Councillor Brennan to fill the 3 positions and move that we confirm the special responsibility as well.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Do we have a second of her?
Yes, I second this nomination.
Thank you, Councillor McGuire. Is there any other nominations for this office? Councillor Robertson.
Thank you, Provost. Actually, just as a full transparency for everyone, we did intend to nominate Councillor Armstrong for this position as an alternative nomination. We're fully aware, and everybody who heard the roll call a few moments ago will realise that we are 2 members down today, and for that reason alone, we're not going to proceed with that nomination. But we just do want to kind of highlight that on the social work scrutiny panel, we do have a member within our number who was a chief social work officer, not just a social worker, but a chief social work officer working at national level across Scotland. And I guess this is my opportunity to put on record the faith I'm having in Councillor Armstrong, and then we would have had her nomination, but we don't plan to proceed, just full transparency to everyone with that nomination at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Robertson. Is there any other nominations for this position? Then I declare that Councillor Brennan is appointed to the Chair of Social Work and Social Care Scrutiny Panel. Thank you. Item 5, the amendments to the scheme of delegation officers on page 61. Mr. Stratton, please.
Thank you, Provost. Members, report requesting that Council consider some proposed amendments to the scheme of delegation. Very briefly, there's an amendment from the back of a decision by the Environment and Regeneration Committee in connection with Fireworks and Pyrotechnics Articles Act, a further decision of the Environment and Regeneration Committee around procedures for speed limit orders. There were some additional amendments in relation to other decisions that Council has taken recently, including management restructure, redetermination orders and redelivery of Council meetings, and a couple of other proposed amendments that occurred to us from that review. I would say it isn't a full review. We'll be carrying that out later on in the year. But I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillor McCluskey, please.
Thank you, Provost. Just with regards to the delegation under the Fireworks and Pyrotechnic Article Scotland Act, it's just to receive confirmation from officers that the powers in that act given to local authorities to create fireworks prevention orders will still be a decision for elected members, either the full council or the Environment Regeneration Committee, even after this is delegated. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor McCluskey. Yes, we're still awaiting statutory guidance on that. When we've got that, it's the intention to take that to Environment Regeneration Committee, and we can consider that be a decision for a committee or council. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Bloom, please.
Thanks very much, Provost. I was going to bring it as a point of order, but obviously I'm going to take this opportunity under agenda item number 5. It's about late reports to be put to the council. On Tuesday past, the 18th, the Shared Services Committee met at Western Button, and a decision was taken, but that decision will have to be obviously endorsed by the two authorities that are applied in West Barnshire. And I was expecting to actually see a late paper today, which I thought would have saved this meeting on the 4th of May, because I believe a special meeting has been called for the 4th of May. I just wonder if the strategic comment, is there a reason for not bringing it as an emergency paper, or is the standing order not allow us to bring it as emergency papers? And if we're reviewing standing orders, wouldn't it be great that we didn't have officers to have another meeting on the 4th of May that brought it as an emergency paper? So a comment, I'm sure it's tracking, keep it right.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think that our feeling was it would have been presumptuous to put anything on until the Shared Services Joint Committee had met, and then given the nature of the matter, we wanted to be able to brief members properly in advance and give it an appropriate place. So we are very conscious about, additional meetings for members. We know how difficult members' diaries can be, but we felt that given the nature of the decision, it was right, rather than potentially being seen to rush it into something just to take the time and deal with it separately. I don't know whether the Chief Executive wants to say anything more, but that was the reason.
Chief Executive.
Through yourself, Provost, we also wanted to have the opportunity to speak to your staff after the shared services, and we have done that over the last couple of days before we put a paper in front of council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any more questions for Mr. Strachan on this agenda item? Can we therefore agree the recommendations on page 62? Thank you. Item number 6 in the agenda is the amendments to the standing orders and scheme of administration on page 119. Mr. Strachan, please.
Thank you, Provost. Yeah. And so in a similar vein, this report asking council to consider proposed amendments to the standing orders and scheme of administration to give a number of recent council decisions. Firstly, Environment and Regeneration Committee on 9th of March considered a proposal for how the landlord considers concerns being raised in connection with suitability of private residential landlords, and in effect proposing that we disband the Housing Landlord Registration Subcommittee and instead send such matters to the General Purposes Board for consideration. What I would say on that, officers are very aware of interest that members have around these matters and assurance that members would be seeking. So if council agrees to the proposals today, what we will be doing is bringing forward a procedure note with a bit more detail around that to the General Purposes Board. We will lay on some specific training around it as well. We understand that some updated statutory guidance will be issued very shortly, perhaps the next couple of weeks, by the government. So we'll use that to inform it process as well, if that assists. Secondly, on the back of council's consideration that in September around future delivery of meetings and changes in connection with that, again, speed limit orders, again, the recent management restructure, and hopefully all that's fairly self-explanatory from the report. Again, we'll intend to carry out further review later on in the year, because the standing orders members would of course be consulted in the usual way. There might be other points that Councillor Brooks has raised on that, but I'm very happy to take any questions members might have.
Is there any questions on this matter for Mr. Strachan? Councillor Moran.
I can thank you, Provost. No, I'm broadly accept the report that came forward. But I'm just surprised that you're expanding the board and putting it to the general purposes board. I thought we may have got a wee bit of discussion on it beforehand, to be quite honest with you. And if why are we doing it? I mean, what's the reason you're expanding this board for and put it on the general purposes? I mean, that's my question to you. I was told at Halloween's. So for Halloween's, what's the sense of disbanding it, putting it on the general purposes board? So if it did meet, then I suggest strongly that every member of this general purposes board has the adequate training to carry out this task, because it will not be an easy task. And but it's paramount that we are trained in this subject. So I ask you, why are we disbanding the board anyway, and why you put it in general purposes?
So truly, Provost, thank you, Councillor Moran. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different reasons. I mean, the subcommittee has never met, as I understand it. That of itself is not a reason to put it to general purposes board, but we did feel that putting it into a scheduled quasi-judicial board that meets regularly was better and would help keep that probably on the agenda, if you like. Separately, because it's quasi-judicial, because the General Purposes Board already deals with bit and proper tests in connection with taxi drivers, that there's a clear similarity with considering this in terms of residential landlords. We've looked at other authorities, everyone deals with it in slightly different ways. I do think that we need to do this further work around the process and the procedure. I absolutely agree around training for members, so that we can get it right and proportionate for Inverclyde. But that was the reasons. I think that my recollection is that the Environment Regeneration Committee were supportive of the principle of this, understanding that it would be coming here. But hopefully that's of some assistance.
Thanks, you. But the thing is, if a taxi driver returns for an application for a taxi license, it doesn't come to my board unless it's been refused and they've committed a misdemeanour. It's processed with officers, and officers grant that licence. The only time that they'll appear for our board if there's a problem with it, not because they have a taxi by. The officers deal with that, and then it comes to the general purposes board. This appears to me as if they will come to the general purposes board and then we will decide if they're fit for persons to be landlords. If I'm wrong in that, I hope I'm anyway. But I still think training is required here, because certainly members of the board that spoke to me have got a bit of concern about this.
No, you are right. I mean, it would be a fit and proper test, and I do understand members' concerns. I do, which is why we would look to put in place that training and support members on that. But separately, members have made me aware that those are decisions that, where there are concerns that are raised, that they wish to have an involvement in that.
Thank you, Mr. Strachan. Yes, I think there's a good point made, Councillor Moran. I think if it ever is going to come to the general purposes, I think there'll be quite a bit of notice going through the sort of pipeline of it, and I think what you're saying about the training thing is very important indeed. Can we agree the recommendations therefore on page 120? Thank you. Item 7 on the agenda is page 163. It's a council timetable change of the audit committee. Mr. Strachan, please.
Thank you, Thomas. Yes, just looking to move the date of the June audit committee back a week to allow additional time, maximise the time for completion of the unaudited annual accounts. I've taken any questions.
Does everybody agree that recommendation? Thank you. On remits from committees, page 165, the 20 mile an hour town and village centre speed limit order maintained objections, and it's a remit from the Environment and Regeneration Committee. Mr. Strachan, please.
Thank you, Provost. So, yeah, I mean, in essence, the decision that's being sought from Council today is to approve the making of the 4 speed limit orders there at 2.1 Gilmartin, Glasgow, Gurrick Town Centre and Cathcart Street and adjoining areas, but it's only been through the Environment Regeneration Committee, but I haven't taken any questions.
Is there any further questions? Can we agree the recommendation? 116. Thank you. Item 9, the capital strategy 2023 to 2033 and treasury management strategy statement and annual investment strategy 23-24 to 26-27, which is a remit from the Policy and Resources Committee. And can I go to Mr. Puckram, please?
Thank you, Provost, and good afternoon, everyone. These matters have been considered by the Policy and Resources Committee on the 21st of March. I am happy to answer any questions that members may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions for Mr. Puckram on this matter? Can we therefore agree the recommendation? 170. Thank you. Item 10 on the agenda, the single-use nicotine vaping products, disposable vapes. It's a request by Councillor McCabe. Councillor McCabe, please.
Thank you, Provost. I think we'll all have received the email from activist Laura Young on the 31st of March asking us to follow the lead of a number of Scottish councils calling the ban on the so-called disposable vapes. So our help will brought this forward before council so the rest of you didn't want to do it. Personally, I'm supportive of the position that's been set out in the paper in paragraph 3, and I know that there are public health concerns around the use of vapes, particularly after young people, but the actual motion in the paper focuses deliberately on the environmental issue because that's the review that Railway Scotland are undertaking on behalf of the Scottish Government at this point in time, and we're seeking through this motion to influence that review. I know helpfully before the meeting, my good friend and Conservative and Unionist Councillor Brooks sent us an amendment, and I'm happy to hear the arguments for the amendment before taking a position. Although I have to say I'm not as convinced about the sort of abilities of Ms Slater to deliver UK-wide changes in our approach to vaping. Although I do know that the Prime Minister himself was fairly critical of the vaping suppliers, so I'm going to listen to the arguments, passionate arguments for Councillor Brooks before. No, absolutely not. That's a genuine last time. I'm going to bring my colleague.
Thank you, Diane.
I have to second the motion, which would be paragraph 1.3.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Councillor Black, please.
Yes, thank you. I agree with what Councillor McCabe said there. I do think that there's a wider issue of vaping around human health and the unknown and undesirable consequences of it. Whilst moving away from traditional forms of smoking, such as cigarettes, the tobacco, less vapes do reduce the risk of certain cancers. However, there's a lot unknown, and things like heavy metals that are in vapes, along with their accessibility, it has been seen, and there are studies across the world that I've read, thankfully, before this meeting, that showed that particularly high school students are more likely to vape than adults. I do support vaping as a cessation aid. However, I do not think this is the main way that it's used currently, and I think we've seen and heard in the press over recent months and weeks of instances where higher nicotine levels have been detected, and people cannot make informed decisions if these items aren't saying what they are in the packet. I support the premise of reducing any form of waste and hazardous waste, and I thank my colleague for bringing this forward. I second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Black. As you've heard from Councillor McCabe, Councillor Brooks has brought an amendment. Councillor Brooks, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Thanks very much, Provost. Firstly, I would like to say that this is a genuine opportunity on my behalf, an opportunity to try and improve what was written, and certainly was an attack or something to take something away from what was before us. Firstly, obviously, I share the concerns that we actually have the disposal of e-cigarettes or capsules, whatever you choose to use them, thrown on the ground, and they're not disposed of properly. 1.3 million is what we reckon is actually thrown away, and it's not recycled. So there's good reasons to ensure that we actually recycle them properly. So that's the first challenge. So to agree with the principle of the report that we have before us. Secondly, It's a reserved issue to the UK Parliament. So to actually have the three devolved administrations and the UK Parliament working together, I think that's a good way of bringing forward any change to the way we actually conduct ourselves with using these products and especially recycling them. So that's industry as such, and we, WEEE, as you've seen in the papers, there is obviously legislation in place and there's discussions in place about small retailers signing up to ensure that they have a facility to take these items back to recycle them. Small retailers, like you have with batteries, I'm sure you've seen in supermarkets where you can redo your battery. Small retailers can opt out, but then if they opt out, they actually should contribute to local authorities so that we can actually allow for a recycling scheme. So there is good environmental things happening out there. But the paper before us, has been sent to all members, and I know Councillor Kate has brought it forward the motion. It's quite clear we're not there yet. And the only change that I'm looking for in the motion is that we are not there yet for us to be the United Kingdom to move forward. Again, not for any devolved issues. It's simply we would be better moving together to ensure that we can actually recycle these products. There's something to happen. We are a small island. Something to happen in one part of the country can be detrimental if to another part. So let's try and move together. I picked the wording the best I could, so I didn't have any concerns from our friends in the Scottish National Party. I have maybe similar concerns about the ability of the ministers, but that's a democratic position that has been appointed. So I'm not going to go into the personalities of the ability of the minister. That's not for me to say. We have a democratically elected minister, and what I'm asking is for the letter to go out to her and to encourage the actions to mitigate the harmful uses and does reduce it to practical across the UK and to ensure that the minister leads. It wouldn't be great if the Scottish minister led the other two devolved administrations and obviously the UK government to make this happen. So finally, Provost, the challenges that I have before us is the fact that DEFRA, who has the power in England, has moved things forward to a certain stage, but they aren't there yet. They're currently reviewing it, so it makes sense to me that they review it together. So I would ask that we write a letter encouraging the Scottish Minister to ensure that the review is done across the 4 nations of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Do you have a seconder for your amendments?
Mr. Wilson, one second.
Yes, of course.
Just thinking about it.
I'm delighted to second that motion, whatever it was.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
For point of order, you've got to know what the motion is before you say it.
We have a proposal from Councillor McCabe and a very similar selection of words from Councillor Brooks. Does any other member want to speak on this at this time? Councillor Reynolds.
Thank you. As already been intimated, then our group are minded to support the amendment from the Conservatives. A bit of background, really. You know, as a pharmacist that's worked in this area and as a pharmacy champion, that when vapes just came out years and years ago, we had a concern as a community about what would happen to these products because they weren't being legislated or regulated as part of a smoking cessation programme. And as a keen environmentalist, then yes, I don't want to see these things all over the place and don't want to see them multiply like single-use plastic. Cans and bottles, which are such a problem. Those of you that litter pick know that it's the main thing that we pick up is plastic and bottles and cans. We have a ban on single-use plastic. We know how difficult that is to implement and stop and how our oceans are being destroyed by it. So yes, I would go down the route of recycling until we reach a point where a ban looks possible. At the moment, disposables are used by an older demographic. Without disposables, they're likely to revert to cigarettes because they might be restricted movements, they might have disabilities, they find them easier to use, lighter, convenient and cheaper So to ban them outright at this moment would cut off that smoking cessation aid that older people have. So that's part of my main argument. I would also like to intimate that the council support a motion in the public health, which has already been intimated as well, and because recent evidence shows that vaping, long-term effects of vaping are not quite understood yet. There's evidence that they are harmful. Apart from that, it really concerns my sector. The vaping industry is behaving like the tobacco industry did decades ago, targeting young people, particularly females, with the type of packaging and the way they call these vaping products. And evidence has shown this week, it came out this week, that yes, younger people are likely, that haven't smoked ever, are going on to them, and these are more likely to use cigarettes in the future, which goes against the whole smoking ban, the whole smoking cessation push that we've had since the turn of the century. So I think a public health motion is really important to bring to council at the next full council meeting. I'm happy to do that if that agrees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Reynolds. At the start of your speech there, you mentioned you were inclined to support the amendment, Councillor Brooks' amendment. That's the view of your group. Thank you. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah.
Is there anything in Councillor Brooks' says?
No, I mean, I've listened to the passionate arguments advanced by my colleague, and I'm more than happy to support the amendment. And I do think that it's a helpful suggestion for Councillor Reynolds to, I suppose, separate the two issues out and bring forward a motion around the public health issues to the next one, because I think they're a bit more complex than these particular issues are. So I would welcome Councillor Reynolds bringing forward a motion to the next meeting. But yeah, more than happy to accept the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. It's more than therefore, members, can we accept the amendment put forward by Councillor Brooks? Thank you very much. Therefore, this meeting of Inverclyde Council to a close, and I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.